Gunners with quite the big win over Villa, 4-1 Arsenal. And let's have a look at the top of the table, because as we said, this was a top of the table clash. Aston Villa looking recently like they wanted to throw their hat in the ring for the title race, but Arsenal absolutely with a statement win here, and they stay at the top, 5 points clear of Manchester City, who will face Sunderland on New Year's Day. All right, let's welcome in two more experts today. We've got Frank Leboeuf, who is back in his sauna in his chalet somewhere in the Alps. And we've also got Jurgen Klinsmann joining us as well. But let's start things off, Stevie, with Arsenal, because you guys were talking a lot about it yesterday. You said that recently we have been piling on the questions about Arsenal, and they needed to answer them today with this type of a win. So are all those questions answered and out of the window now?
Well, yes, and the biggest one we had was will Arsenal be able to put teams away, unlike what they've been doing recently? And they gave us the perfect answer today, 4-1, beg your pardon, feels like 4-0. And so, yes, the questions were answered. You know, I think the first half, the only problem Arsenal had in this game was for the middle three without Rice figuring out how to stop Aston Villa from counter-attacking. And it took them probably half an hour to figure that out. And so for the next hour, once they'd sorted that out, this really was all about Arsenal. They completely and utterly outplayed Villa in the second half in particular. And Odegaard, for me, had his best game for Arsenal this season, no question. I mean, the little ball he plays through for Zubimendi is just, it's world class, it's perfect. I said in the highlight, the pace of it was perfect, where he put it was perfect. And it's not an easy finish, but Zubimendi had the easy bit. Yeah. So, yeah, this was a superb performance from Arsenal. And, yes, the questions have been answered today.
Shaka, you agree?
Fully. And the cliched six-pointer at the top of the table, Arsenal, I certainly made the point for you last week or two of Arsenal's inability to win by more than a single goal up against a Villa team who have been in incredible form. You wanted to see how they respond. And the question around Arsenal over the last couple of weeks was this Arsenal going through their blip? Winning by a single goal, but this is their blip. And I think this is worth a whole lot more than the cliched 6 points to this, because this is a marker. Yeah. This is an absolute beating, and you can hear the other side of it. Had Ollie Watkins taken that chance early on, maybe we're having a different discussion, but he didn't. And from there on in, I don't think you can question how good Arsenal were, how dominant they were, how good they were finishing in and around in and around Aston Villa's box. So from there on in, I think Arsenal, as I say, put down a marker. It's 3 points on the board, cliched six-pointer, but against the league's form team, this kind of performance, 4 goals in it, it says a whole lot to everybody else, including Manchester City.
Well, we know that, I'm not sure if Frank, knowing that he played for Chelsea, and Jurgen, who has his Spurs hat on sometimes, would have enjoyed this win as much as the Gunners. But Frank, let me start with you. Statement win from Arsenal, and again, some magic from Gabriel that I'm sure they're very happy to have him back.
Yeah, sure. Even if the first half I was questioning his fitness, because he just came back and he wasn't the Gabriel that I've known and I've seen being very the top of the top. And the first half wasn't really clear for me. Saliba was there covering sometimes his mistakes, but also you have to understand that Declan Rice wasn't also in the middle of the park. On the other side, you didn't have Kamara for Aston Villa. Aston Villa lost Onana at the beginning of the second half. So it maybe explain why Aston Villa fall down like crazy. Yes, if you look at the score, if you look at the way they played the second half, Arsenal were outstanding. But you have to look at the first half. You have to look at the way they played at some point, at some times. And I'm not as enthusiastic as my two colleagues in the studio. I think they deserve to win overall, nothing to say. But it could have been a different story if Onana wouldn't have been injured and went out, at the beginning of the second half. So Arsenal did the job, nothing to complain about. Credit to them and congratulations. But I'm not that convinced, like Stevie and Shaka have explained.
Oh, all right. Well, let's find out from Jurgen before we let Stevie and Shaq back in. Jurgen, what about you? Are you that convinced?
I think it was an outstanding second half of Arsenal. And they proved the point. And these games around Christmas, New Year's, as Shaka knows and Frank know really well, and Steve obviously, these are very crucial psychological moments around this time in the year. And when you have a statement win like today against Aston Villa, who became kind of closer and closer and competitive for the title, then even better. I mean, the first half was even. Aston Villa was kind of waiting for their chances. They had some small ones, but what Arsenal then showed and proved in the second half was outstanding. You know, the passing sequences, the commitment that they have, the aggressiveness that they showed, and they grinded them down. And I think even in that amount with 4 goals, it's well deserved. So these are now moments where you want to kind of differentiate yourself from the opponents. You want to make a statement to your big opponents, mainly Manchester City, obviously, and tell them, listen, we are ready here. We are ready to win the title this season.
Stevie, what do you have to say back to what Frank was saying?
No, I don't think you can't really talk about the ifs and ands and the buts. I mean, if Gyökeres had taken his 2 chances, I mean, it's as simple as that. David Raya, I don't remember David Raya making a save in the first half. You know, for half an hour, when they were on the counter, Aston Villa, you're watching it going, you know, they look capable. Yes, Saliba made that one great challenge. But again, as I said, Gyökeres, in my opinion, if you're a world-class centre-forward, you're scoring 2 goals. Yes, he gets ahead of the defender for the one we showed, and he should have scored. And I think he should have. And I'd love to know what Jurgen thinks about this. Jurgen's a centre-forward. That first chance that Gyökeres has with a header, it's a clear header. Nobody's challenged him. Nobody's bumping him. And it was a weak attempt over the bar. He should at least have got it in frame. And I think when you're paying 60 to 70 million for a centre-forward, you've got to put that in the back of the net.
Jurgen, what do you make of what Stevie's saying about Gyökeres?
No, absolutely. Those are chances. When they come along, you got to utilize them. You got to take them. And that's what he will think the whole night tonight, you know, that if I would have made that goal, you know, then things look a little bit different, but he didn't.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, we were kind of discussing the impact of Kai Havertz, and a lot was being made in the press about his pending return, et cetera, et cetera. And I think Frank was making the point, which you agree with on the face of, that Kai Havertz wasn't the solution last year. And as a matter of fact, Kai Havertz's inability to play that number 9 is why Arsenal went out on board Gyökeres. But the truth is, Gyökeres really hasn't offered a lot, and I'm being kind since his inclusion. Now you could actually make the argument that Mikel Merino would have scored those headers, which we've seen. Makeshift centre forward he may be, he has shown at least some prowess in and around the box when he's got on the end of things. But because of Rice's injury, he has to drop back and play in midfield. So even that was not an option. So while I take Frank's point about Villa not being as good without Onana on the park, I think if you look at Arsenal and the adjustments they had to make because of Rice's injury and the chances that they were able to create, they were the better of the 2 teams. And in my opinion, fully deserving of not just the win, but the scoreline.
Jurgen, just back on Gyökeres, like how concerning are his struggles to you? And do you feel there's enough time, enough personnel around him so that he can eventually come good in this team?
Oh, absolutely can become good in this team. The timing is always difficult, you know, for a forward. You know, if you don't score goals, you get criticized. You know, they come up with all sorts of stories, and the only response that you can have is scoring. Start scoring. You know, start making your point. You know, and connect with your teammates and connect. You know, in the games, but also in training sessions and do the best you can do. Absolutely, he can convince people and he can make a difference. He has the talent, but now it's the mind that kind of guides him. You know, the psychological aspect of it, and you got to give him the opportunities, and sooner or later he will break through.